So good morning, Chris. I think it's a pleasure to be with you again today. Today is a bit of a special day. It's VE Day. Being an American in London, I think you get the feeling of this historical moment even more. We are in a wonderful house in London. And third, it's a good occasion for us to catch up on many trends you have been at the center of during the last 20 years. My first question will be regarding art recovery, which has been your core activity since I've known you for 20 years. What about the last trend in terms of theft, and how you still managing to recover PCs as easily as sometimes in the past? Could you just give us an update on this dimension?
Well, I get asked a lot of questions about theft and the trends and whether we're having more theft or less theft, but it's always been the same. Criminals are getting more and more clever, and the answer is that we need to stay one step ahead of the criminals. We need to stay on top of technology because they are using technology to steal works of art and steal funds from clients. And we're seeing the use of social media as a way to steal from victims.
And do you have some advice regarding those potential victims? I mean, summer is coming, what they should do in order to prevent crimes from happening?
Absolutely. One of the most important aspects of collecting is people like to show off their collection. But I must insist that victims try to refrain from showing off too much, because criminals are watching social media. They're watching where you're going on vacation. They're watching what you post. They're looking in the backgrounds of real estate ads when you go to sell your home. They want to know what you have and whether they can take it away from you. So I ask collectors to really resist bragging about their car collections, their watch collections, and their art collections.
Well, this is something as an insurer I can only concur with, and part of our communication towards clients and prospects is about being discreet, making sure that you don't expose much more than what you should. So that's very good. And regarding the recovery side, because this is something you have a network of informer, you have a network also of contact in the police forces, specialized police forces of the world. Do you still see this good cooperation between all parts in order to make sure that key historical parts can be recovered?
Well, people think that recovering art is something that's simple. You report it to the police and one day they find it and they catch the criminal and it's all over and they return the stolen item to you. It doesn't work that way. Unfortunately, law enforcement all over the world is understaffed, underfunded. There are wars going on, there are health issues going on, there's international terrorism issues. The last thing the police officers want to do is handle a luxury art theft. Unfortunately, we have to report these thefts to the police, and we have to come up with creative solutions. For me to do what I do, I need to network with law enforcement, the people who possess stolen items, the victims, their insurance companies, and work out some sort of a complex negotiated settlement to return the stolen item to the victim.
That takes time and patience and network. And do you have maybe for our audience one good story, because sometimes those good stories are very illustrative, something you've just accomplished you were especially proud of in terms of recovery?
Well, we have interesting cases almost every week. I could say something just last week. We had the appearance of a stolen painting that was stolen in the early 1990s in Canada. It appeared for sale. We stopped the sale. We then had to negotiate with the possessor and with the original theft victim, and of course the insurance company that paid out on the loss. And we had to liaise with the police, who were not very interested in helping us. In fact, they didn't even want to produce a copy of the police report, because that's what the possessor was insisting on. He wanted to know, is this really stolen? How do I know? I want to see the copy of the police report. But the police don't want to open up in a very old file and produce it. So we have to get creative. We have to develop a creative strategy to get everybody to work together to accomplish the goal. And the goal was to return the stolen item to the victim.
That's good. And you made it.
And we made it.
That's positive. I know that you have developed during the last few years also another dimension to your activity, which is the restitution of the art piece. Between ourselves, we call you the monument man because you are the last embodiment of those courageous people trying to repossess arts which have been looted. But I must say that there has been a lot of evolutions in that field during the last few years, because we are not talking about only Nazi-looted art, but also other arts. So could you give us maybe an update on those trends and what you see as a way forward in those restitutions?
We've recovered a great deal of Nazi-looted artworks over the years, and the trends that we are seeing is that more and more governments are complying with the Washington Principles from 1998 and realizing that they need to publish the provenances of artworks that are in museums. They need to enforce the Washington Principles and try to get it to apply to private dealers and collectors. Right now, we're seeing the US lead on this. We're seeing US laws more favorable to the families who have lost these items to Nazi persecution. And it shouldn't be that way. To be honest with you, I think Germany and Austria should be leading the way, but right now they're not. We still see pieces, Nazi-looted works of art in the hands of private collectors and private dealers in Germany and Austria, and we're getting very little cooperation. And here we are, this week, 80 years after the end of World War II, and we're still talking about Nazi restitution. It's really a shame.
Although I have noticed that recently the German government, I think, planned to introduce a new piece of legislation and reforming this very complex commission system, which was not always so clear, and moving more towards the judiciary. I mean, is it the case?
Yes, Germany is moving. They've been historically moved very slowly in this respect, but they are moving, which is helpful. And we're now seeing new legislation, and we're seeing an expanse of the process to mediate and arbitrate these disputes. However, there always seems to be a setback. We now have a new government in Germany, and we don't know whether they're going to continue the process of the last government or whether we're going to have to take a step back. So right now we're hopeful in the direction that things are moving.
I know that you had some very interesting restitution case also in emerging countries. I remember especially one in the Himalaya, maybe it was Tibet or not Tibet, it was Nepal, yeah. And so how is it moving in those countries where sometimes the legal system is certainly not prioritized towards art restitution, and where sometimes also the cultural institutions may not be ready to grade pieces in the right, I would say, setting?
That's right. What we're seeing is the press coming out of New York and the US about seizing looted objects, and also in Germany and in France about these colonial objects that should not be in collections. We're seeing a lot of collectors contact us asking to return these items voluntarily, unconditionally, and discreetly, and we're able to help them with that. The problem we're having with all the conflicts that are going on in the world today, that there are the places to return these objects are currently absent. We have tried to return objects to the Congo, to the Sudan, to Syria, and due to the conflicts, there's no one to accept them. So Western countries are holding on to a lot of these looted objects, knowing that they're looted, waiting for the right time for the governments to become stable so they can return the objects to their rightful place.
Yeah, I will make a quip here. Being in a neoclassical building, if we manage to share the Elgin marbles between the UK and Greece, certainly all cases are possibly being solved.
Well, if the Parthenon marbles is a huge issue, and I think there is a settlement there.
Yes.
And I hope that the countries will get together and realize that the UK and Greece share a history, a love of history, and that these objects can be shared between the two countries in a respectful way.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Chris, for this very short brief on your last interventions.